now because I don't know how to share now that it's not on my laptop. Does anybody know?
No.
What are you trying to do?
Top right corner, Pam.
Oh,
Top
view?
right corner, change your view.
Okay, gallery view.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay.
Hey guys, it's Lynn. I am driving, so I'm almost home.
Hope your hands free.
It would come from the sheriff.
Hey,
Don't
Al,
speak.
your lips moving. Okay, so who do I got on here? I got Luke and David.
So Sheriff, this is Brian from the hospital. Can you do a virtual ticket?
Charlie.
By mail.
Okay, so we know Lynn's coming on. Is it okay? There's Erla.
I think we're still waiting on Danny.
Danny, and has anybody heard from Steve?
Charlie said
What?
Steve was making.
The last I heard from Steve, he wasn't going to be here.
Okay. Now that I'm back at work trying to do a meeting, I gotta do my setup all different.
Alvin's not on here yet, is he?
Haven't
No.
seen that.
And I did put him up front. I was hoping he would be on here because I thought that way if he didn't want to stay for the rest of it, he could get his talk out of the
Right.
way. So
I think it's a good idea.
I moved him up first.
David, can we not get started?
Who was that?
We have a quorum, right?
That was
Yeah.
Erla.
Yes.
We got 4 of us, 5 of us. Let me text Danny.
I just have to work tonight.
And Alvin's not here either.
No, it don't look like it.
No one from the news either, it doesn't look like.
I think Luke had said, or I don't think Darius is going to be on tonight. So
No, I think he's just gonna get the recording.
I was going to say, I think that's the way he's been doing it if he's not on there.
And Danny said he's trying to get on. So
Okay.
thought we'd be better by this. Better at this by now. You old folks.
Hey, I'm getting better.
What is Alan doing?
Laughing at you.
Alan's lips ain't moving. I see Rod laughing.
Mhm. Keeps it up, I'm going to talk about him getting carded again.
That was pretty funny. I'll never forget that. After I was leaving the casino, they decided to call me. Not when I got in, but when I left. David, should we go ahead and get started? Since Aaron's out of work and
I guess we
Danny's
could.
Yeah, we can always pull.
just come back
Alvin.
to Alvin and
Okay, well, I went and called the meeting to order. We'll dispense with the pledge of allegiance. And I need to establish a quorum, so I'll call your name. Charlie Baumeister,
Here,
Earl Williams,
Here,
Luke Thomas,
here.
David Achen here, So that's 4, and I think we still have Danny coming and Lynn. Well, first on the agenda was the financial commitment letter for the New Steel Road, but Alvin's not on here, so do we want to go ahead with the transfers?
That'd be fine.
Okay. I guess we want to take these probably separate. The first one we had from County General, from second deputy to first deputy, all within the Perry County Clerk's budget. That's requested by Rachel East. And she says, when I moved to clerk position, I was paid out of my vacation and personal days out of the first deputy fund. We also went a few months without a part-time person, so asking for a transfer to finish out the year for paying her first deputy. That's $1,400. I would entertain motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Next, we have from Social Security to $5,467 to furniture and equipment of $1,000 and to coffee machine $4,467. And that was to purchase a new equipment for speaker system in meeting room and for a new shared copy machine for administration, veteran service, and planning and zoning. The current machine is 10 years old and is no longer warranted and not eligible for coverage under maintenance agreement because no parts available. They will trade in the old one.
I'll make a motion to approve this transfer.
I'll second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Motion
Aye.
carries 4-0. Our next transfer, $3,000 from travel and $2,800 from workers' compensation insurance. And we're transferring to indirect cost recovery of $3,000 and $2,800 to liability insurance, and that's all within the county commissioner's budget. And that the indirect cost recovery, that will catch us up on payments for services through 2019 for 4D cost allocation plan with Maximus. And due to a legal claim that was paid during the year, our liability insurance went in red, and the transfer will put us back in the black.
And with it being a contract with liability insurance, we really don't want to run that in the red.
Right. So, would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Is that Erla?
Mhm.
Erla, yes.
Hey,
I'll second.
Who seconded?
Charlie.
Okay.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries 4-0. Has Danny or Lynn joined yet?
Lynn's on, David.
Okay.
yeah, I just,
Lynn is on.
All right. Thanks, Lynn.
I sent Danny, he said he was having trouble getting on, so I sent him to the county website
Okay.
that has all the
Thanks.
information on it.
Okay. Our next transfer is $600 going from janitor cleaning supplies to janitor cleaning services. I guess fairly self-explanatory. That's just annual carpet cleaning of offices on West Side Courthouse. We alternate east-west every year. So I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Motion
Aye.
carried 5-0. I'm not sure who seconded, was that Lynn or Erla?
Erla
It
seconded.
was Erla.
Okay. Next, we have, our next transfer is $500 from security systems to janitorial cleaning supplies. That's within the Perry County Courthouse budget. And that's for electrostatic spay, sanitation.
Hello?
Oh,
There he is, Danny.
a prosecutor office due to positive COVID-19
Can
employee.
anyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks for being on time.
Says David Aitchen. The man who's always late.
I'm never late. I'm always on time.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's all within the Perry County Courthouse budget.
I'll make a motion. to
I'll
approve
make that
transfer.
motion.
Oh.
I'll second.
All those in favor,
Sorry.
say aye.
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 Motion carries 6-0. Okay, our next we have, our next transfer is,
Hello,
pardon?
can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Danny.
Danny.
Yes, we can hear you.
Unfortunately.
Can you hear us?
I don't
Danny?
think he can hear us.
Oh, that's bad. Kind of like not being able to hear. Danny,
Danny?
I guess he can't hear us evidently. He'll figure it out. I guess that was maybe 5-0 then, wasn't it? That
I was
last
gonna say,
moment.
is that changing that vote then?
Probably so.
Okay.
Okay, moving on with transfers. We have $1,340 from travel to law books. And that's also within the Perry County Circuit Court budget. That's to cover the fee for a monthly payment for contract with Thomas Reuters, which has increased without notice. We asked for more. in
You can hear me?
next year's budget to cover the,
I can't hear you.
well, I don't know what to tell you.
What is the deal?
You must not have your audio on or something.
Oh, never mind, never mind. Okay, now try.
Can you hear us now?
Yeah.
All right. Good boy.
All right, praise the Lord.
Now you can vote
Oh
from
my
now on.
gosh.
Okay, so we're on the circuit court one now.
Yes,
Okay, go.
$1,340 from travel to law books. That's within the Perry County Circuit Court's budget. That's due to an increase that they weren't aware of that they, so now they're asking for additional transfer, or asking for a transfer from travel to law books. So I'll entertain that motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 The motion carries 6-0. Our next transfer is local income tax public safety fund, $2,000 from health insurance, $1,196.38 from health insurance, all to sheriff's pension, which totals $31,9638, and that's within the Perry County Sheriff and jail budgets. And that is for overpayment for the third quarter payment from this fund, so it put the sheriff's pension line in the red. It is a 1,000 line item and cannot be in the red at the end of the month, so this left extra money in Fund 1193, and we can take out more from this fund next year.
Is David breaking up really bad for everybody else? Or is it
Yeah.
just
Am I
me?
breaking up?
Yes.
Like,
That's probably,
yeah, like, we can't understand you.
oh, sorry. I don't know if I can do anything about that or not. Am I getting close enough or? Would someone like to make a motion for that? Transfer?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries 6-0. Okay, our next transfer is from ambulance equipment to ambulance service of $1,687.
What's that mean exactly?
It's to subsidize losses for ambulance service. I think that's extra money they had in equipment, so they're just transferring it to ambulance services.
And that's money that's budgeted for them?
It was budgeted for ambulance equipment and they're transferring it to ambulance service.
Okay.
So I would entertain a motion for approval. If there's no discussion,
I'll make that motion.
I'll
do I have a
second it.
second? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries 6-0.
Hey, Luke made the second.
Yes.
Okay. Alvin is on here. I don't know if you want to jump into that before you go
We
to.
can. Alvin, or is he's not muted, is he?
Yes, he
Yes,
is.
he's muted.
I'm muted now.
Yes.
Yeah, Alvin, we had you on at the beginning, and since it was there, we went ahead, so did you want to go ahead now? What this is about is Teresa had asked, I guess on behalf of Alvin, that I sign a financial commitment letter for the New Steel Road, which is a 80-20, 20% match by the county. And I just thought this was something that should be brought before the full board. I'm not asking if the full board sign the letter, but I just thought that they should be aware of it. And I did have some questions, and I think Alvin answered, I think most of those satisfactorily, that I don't think I have any problem with signing a letter. I don't know. I forwarded a lot of that stuff to the other council members. I don't know if you had a chance to read all that or not, because there were several things I forwarded to you. I'd forgotten how much Alvin liked to write. And so I remember from the old years in JC's, he was pretty good at writing rock books. Anyway, that basically, I don't know, Alvin, did you want to talk about that a little maybe? I think you pretty much explained everything.
Yeah, if there's any questions, specific questions about it, but essentially it's the application is for the connecting road from be the second entrance road into Wapaka and Webb Wheel, and it'll be the primary entrance road, the portion of Riverview West. It's improved safety of access to those factories.
I can't hear you, Alvin.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. To improve access into those factories for the safety access, and primary is the biggest reason for it. Plus, it'll improve the truck flow and traffic flow at 66 by being able to use the two intersections there. It is a TIF project that was from 2014 when the TIF projects were completed. This one was to be done with excess TIF, not with the original amount. NDOT has a call for projects, and this project would be 2026 fiscal year funding, so construction would start in 2025. From looking at the monies in TIF number 3 and TIF number 4, there will be enough funding available in order to accomplish the project, the 20% match that the project that's required of the project. About $2 million total what the amount is for the match on the project. So, and this is just a letter stating the TIF doesn't actually go through the council, but the council is a fiscal agency of the county, and so NDOT requires a letter from the council stating that the monies that will be available at the time of construction. If something happens between then and now, the design work would, if the project gets accepted, the design work would start next spring. And so that amounts about $200,000, which is still remains from the bond issue that was done in 2014 and 16. And we're holding on to that to pay for that 10% or 20%. And then the actual construction would not be required, funds would not be required for the bid letting. The job is actually bid, which would occur in 2025, as I said. And if something were to happen where the county cannot come up with the money, you just in the project. You're not committed to where you have to spend it this far out in advance. So that the project can just be ended if that's the case.
Did anybody have any questions of Alvin?
I don't really have a question, but it's kind of is. I'm assuming that the redevelopment commission is aware of this project, and I mean, just because we're kind of speaking on behalf of them, because we're saying that the TIF money will be used. Are they aware of this project and this expense?
They're aware of it. It hasn't been brought before them yet because
Okay.
they haven't met. And so, but the TIF number 3 funds can only be spent on the TIF project, so they
Right.
can't spend them anywhere else.
Right.
And TIF number 4 does not have that language in there, that bond issue that's in place now, but this is an approved project in TIF number 4.
Okay, that was just only my concern because we don't control TIF dollars, but we're kind of talking for them. So that clears that up. Thanks.
Yeah, but right, and Luke, just like I said, on the bond issue, there is enough money left over from the bond money to make
Okay.
to make this current payment.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Do you have anything else, Alvin?
That's it. If there's any other questions, that should be it.
Okay, I guess since there are none, I will sign the letter and scan it and email it to Miss Teresa.
You guys,
All right.
Rod,
Thank
would it
you.
be, is it a good thing maybe if they make a motion on this or not?
I don't think
That's
you
okay.
think so for this, unless David thinks so.
Rod, what do you
Yeah,
think?
I think they should have, I think a resolution would be good that resolve to have him sign a commitment letter as per the terms of what Alvin's put together here.
Then I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries 6-0.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you, Alvin.
Thanks, Alvin.
Yeah, Alvin.
Bye. I'll leave now.
All righty.
Okay, our next item on the agenda is the additional appropriations. And the first one we have is out of County General Fund, Perry County Circuit Court, compensation pauper attorney, $30,000. And I guess that's just to cover additional expenses it was to cover pauper attorney claims and pauper attorney expenses for a jury trial. Lucy always seems to be coming up short. Are you on here, Lucy?
No.
No?
Will this,
Well, I guess it's something we
will this
need
get
to-
us through the end of the year? I guess. I mean,
Well,
it's our last additional,
I-
right? This is our last chance.
This is
Yeah,
your
so it has
last
to.
additional, so it
So-
has to.
Okay.
Yeah. Good thing the year's not any longer, right?
Yeah, right.
Definitely.
Glad when it's over.
Yeah.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve this additional appropriation.
I'll second it.
Second. Oh,
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries 6-0. Our next additional appropriation is the health fund, Perry County Health Department, overtime, $29,300, Social Security, $2,245, and retirement, $3,285. And this is to pay health department for overtime during COVID from 10/25/20 to the rest of year. This is changed on how to pay from CARES Act fund. This will be reimbursed back to the health fund.
Pam, can you kind of
Is that
explain
change or charge?
the change that the state required?
Yes, when the pandemic started and we were receiving our CARES Act money, when they made the expenses, we paid for it. We got the CARES Act money. We set it up in the fund. And then when we started paying overtime and salaries, we could pay it straight from the CARES Act money. Well, as of October 22nd, the state came along and changed the rulings, because my understanding is there's some counties that were misusing or mishandling how some of the CARES Act money was being done. So now we have to pay it from a fund that's appropriated, put the CARES Act money in the CARES Act fund. We have to do a reverse transaction to put the appropriation and the cash back in where we paid the overtime from, then disperse it back out of the CARES Act money.
Yeah.
It just doubled my work is what it did. More or less. Mine and Susie. So.
Pam, I've got a question for you.
Yep.
David said this runs to the end of the year. It's just to December 5th, wasn't it?
That's because that's all the time that we have turned in at this point.
Okay.
So what they work from because I've got numbers for you later on this, because as of right now, yes. Hold on, let me find my paper.
But this amount is just to December 5th.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And what it will, gosh dang it, where is my paper on that? It will pay right now $14,958.83 out of this $29,300. So for the rest of the year, what they work, we still have $14,341.17.
Okay, so
Yeah.
this has not all been used up yet. Okay,
No.
thank you.
No, because I can't pay until they've accumulated the time.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So, any other
You need a
discussion?
motion.
Yes, I need a
What,
motion.
Lynn?
I'll
Then
make a motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries 6-0. Okay, now our next transfer or additional appropriation is from the local income tax public safety fund, Perry County Commissioners. Ambulance service, $31,305. And I assume that is, does that take us through the end of the year or?
Teresa,
Question.
you could
I said, does
probably
that take us
answer
through
some of the bills that she's gotten.
This appropriation is the difference from what the hospital had originally asked for the year 2020 and what was appropriated. And we are trying to get caught up with losses up through the month of September. We still owe just a little over $24,000 to get caught up with September. The commissioners voted to ask for an additional appropriation request for that difference to help subsidize and get us caught up for September. And there could be a little bit left over after that, then that could go towards future losses for the remainder of the year.
Any discussion?
No, I guess we don't have any choice in the matter, actually.
Well, my thought is we approved the 1687 transfer. So I think we should, what would the cost, the total, another $13,313 would get us to $200,000 for the year. And that's the same amount we appropriated for next year. And I think us doing some additional shows that we're acting in good faith. We know that we need to help the hospital as much as we can, but we can't give them everything. So I think giving them part of this and putting them at an even $200,000, which is the same we appropriated next year, is a good idea. Because say we appropriate this whole $31,000, that puts us at $216,000. Next year we only appropriated $200,000, so we're back to square one, and we're just going to keep adding it up and adding up, and we have to keep doing additionals to try to catch up. But I think this is a little bit more realistic that we give them some to show that we understand that there's a loss and we want to help them, but we can't give them everything they want. You know, that's just the way it is, especially in this pandemic when we're going to be losing a big amount of change in local income tax, which is what we use to pay this contract for this service. So I think we just need to be realistic about what we can afford to give them. That's why I think we should give them some of this, give them an extra $13,313. That puts them at $200,000 for the year. That's just my thoughts.
Can I say something from the commissioner standpoint? Just keep in mind, the EMS service or the EMS service is the responsibility of the county, not the hospital. And the intent of the contract when it started in the early 80s was that the hospital would manage our EMS at no cost to them. And that also included a budget, that they submit a budget every year. And the county has been very fortunate that they haven't used all that they've asked for a budget. But this year, with the COVID and lack of run activity and all the things that affected us and all the other EMS services in the country and the state, that they actually are spending the amount that they had asked for, or spending the amount that they had budgeted or estimated that their budget would be. So, with all due respect, I don't believe it's giving the hospital, it's reimbursing the hospital is what the intent is. It's not the hospital's responsibility. It is the commissioners and the county's responsibility to provide EMS. And keep in mind, what it's costing us has been a third to a half of what it costs other counties our same size and the surrounding counties. So we're getting a pretty good deal. But I think that we should reimburse the hospital for the expenses they were out for managing our EMS. So that's my thoughts as far as I say as commissioner. Just so we understand, it is our responsibility to provide the EMS.
Any other comments or? I think probably our concern is we based on the analysis and the studies from Ball State and Purdue universities, like I think Luke had alluded to that earlier, we are expecting substantial cuts in our revenues next year. So I don't know, I guess we're trying to be proactive. I'd like to help the hospital as much as we can. Of course, we are a county who has no rainy day fund. We're not like Spencer County, who has in excess of $2 million sitting in reserve. Du Bois County has over $3 million. We want to do what we can. So I don't know what's everybody else's opinion on this.
Well, my opinion is that I guess eventually we'll find out or figure out why we keep giving these funds as much as we do. And I understand what Tom said, but is someone looking into the reasons why we're coming up short all the time with this management of this?
Well, we're not running
year,
all the time. This year is different than most, is what my point is. They're talking to other counties. I mean, our neighboring counties are anywhere from $600,000 to $700,000, and some of them close to $1 million is what they're paying on operating costs. But with the difference with the COVID patients and the slowdown in run activity and the reimbursements, and this was explained by the hospital board in the previous meetings, that this is a product of our times with the 2020 COVID. Now, will it continue on to 2021? the budget that the hospital gave us was worst case scenario for 2021. Nobody knows exactly where it's going to end up. There is estimates that they are going to come down, and we have to be mindful of that. But there is, this public safety tax was passed to support not only the jail and what it was sold to the community to support the EMS. So looking at 2020, where we're at, the hospital estimated that it's going to cost $215,000, whatever that figure is. So what the commissioners are asking is that we take it up to the figure that they had estimated, and is what we put in as commissioner's budget for 2020. And yes, we have spoken to the hospital officials, and they're doing several things looking into increasing the reimbursements and what they have to do for cost savings for the. But it's a product of the times. Hopefully next year things aren't as bad with the COVID that what they were in 2020. But this is 2020. That's what we're asking for.
In other counties, do the hospitals manage the EMS in other counties, like in Harrison, Warwick?
Harrison and Warwick, yes. I haven't talked to the Harrison County commissioners. I have talked to Warwick County commissioners, the Du Bois County, and their subsidies are tremendously higher than what ours are. And but their budgets are paid out. I mean, but whatever they budget, they pay. So what Perry County has been fortunate over the years, over several years, was that the hospital has managed the EMS in a manner that they didn't need all of the subsidy that was budgeted. And over the years, you go back and look 10, 15 years or whatever, how far back you go, they've always managed it under budget. Well, this is 2020 with the COVID, and it actually hits the budget. So, I mean, that's where we're at.
That is true, Tom. There were a number of years where they did not spend the money that was budgeted or did not request it.
Right. They didn't even spend what was budgeted, and there was budgets were cut from what they requested to be budgeted. And it wasn't, the budget amount wasn't even used.
Right.
So, we're still getting quite the bargain as a county, and it is a county's responsibility, not the hospital providing EMS service.
Okay.
I guess part of my hesitation too was when Mr. Childers, the CFO, came before the council. I took it as that the hospital wasn't going to ask for any more than $185,000. That's how I took his comments, and that's how, I mean, it was put in the minutes, and that we all voted on that the hospital wasn't going to be asking for any more than $185,000. That's how I took it. So, and that's how we all agreed to it. So that's how, when they first asked for this additional transfer, I was like, why are we doing this when it was presented that they weren't going to ask for any more than $185,000? So that was my hesitation at first to this.
Well, I don't remember that. I remember the statement, the best I can remember, was that they weren't going to ask any more than what they had asked for. But I thought they were referring to the original $215,000 or whatever what they asked for the budget, and the budget that was approved by the commissioners, and then reduced during budget time for the council. But I thought the amount they were referring to is what they originally estimated it would be for 2020, and not what was actually budgeted. That's the way I took it. Now maybe I took it wrong. I didn't look at the minutes or see exactly what Mr. Childers had said. I mean, but that's the way I took it.
Yeah. Because the way the minutes characterized it, which we all approved, said that Jim said that the loss for 2020 is more than 191,000, but not looking for more money this year. But they were going to ask for that full 450,000 next year.
Mhm. I mean, like I said, I guess I understood it one way, and however the minutes was written, or others took it a different way. But I don't remember the exact wording. That's just the way I had taken it.
Gotcha.
So Tom, is any of that, can we use CARES Act money? Are you getting any, can they get CARES Act money?
Originally, the CARES Act money, now don't be confused about the CARES Act. There are several different distributions of CARES Act money. So, I mean, but what the original distribution that we had, the CARES Act money, we asked specifically if we could use that money for that. So that was probably the number one thing on our list, if we could use for that. And we were told flat no, that we could not use it for loss of revenue, is what that, and that's what come from the Indiana Finance Authority. Now, since then, rules have changed, and we had already, we had spent the CARES Act money, a large portion of it, in qualifying expenses. And then we got down to then when they changed the rules in November, I think it was, I don't remember the exact date, what was not appropriate or not spent out of the CARES Act actually got reimbursed through another avenue, and that money was put into the county coffers. Now, Pam, you may have to help me here. Where it exactly landed, I'm not sure, but it will be whatever was left will end up in the control of the council.
Whatever's left after all the expenses that are done, right now it's sitting in the COVID fund, which my calculations from what Steve had said at the last meeting looks like around 9,000. The only place it can go is into county general fund, but it'll be put into the cash.
Yeah. So to answer your question, Lynn, yes. I mean, well, from what is left, and that is from a change in the rules and the guidelines that was made late in the game, like in November sometime. Now, there is CARES Act money that's distributed to the hospitals, and that is totally different. It has nothing to do with this CARES Act money. So not to be confused with that. And the last grant that was announced yesterday, and in fact matter, Aaron Emerson and Nathan Held sat in on a webinar, and we got a meeting scheduled to see what part of that can be applied for in that CARES Act distribution. I think it's phase 3. I would love to see if some of this qualifies, but right now we haven't figured out a way that we can. I really hope it is, and how much of those grants can be spent. And if we can make that a qualifying expense, we sure will. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know about this phase 3 yet, because it just came out yesterday through Okra, and it's being, it's being distributed through Okra. That now, keep in mind too, talk about reimbursement. One of the things that we did was that in 2021 we were due for a new ambulance, and we got that to be a qualifying expense from that original CARES Act money, and that was close to $191,000, and that was paid for by the CARES Act money on that phase. So I mean, that should relieve the the general fund by $190,000 over the next 2 to 3 years.
Now,
So
Tom, is anyone from the county council ever involved in some of this decision making on the CARES Act monies? I know she said Aaron Emerson and somebody else. What about somebody from the council?
well, the original CARES Act distribution was given out through the EMA office, through the Homeland Security, down to the EMA offices for expenses incurred through CARES Act. And specifically the way it was structured, that it was just from the commission, the Board of Commissioners. And the only sign-off need was the president of the commissioners. Now, phase 3 coming out are grant applications by the governing units. They will be, the county can apply for a grant, the cities can apply for a grant, and I think the grants are up to $250,000, but they are grants applied for on behalf of the county, cities, or taxing units. I think it's just cities and counties. I'd have to double check, but we do have a committee formed for that, and it involves the commissioners, the mayors of the city, and representative from Troy, and I'll have to look at it, but there's 7 people on this committee, and that's your magic number. But not to exclude the council by any means, it's just that it's a grant application is the way this is being handled. They haven't automatically distributed it out. Now, the last one, the 61,000 for education purposes, that was just, that was a grant application also. We applied for the grant, got approved for the grant. It wasn't, they gave us that amount of money and then we figured out how we wanted to spend it. We applied for certain things. The health department and EMA was involved with that application, and we got $61,700 and some dollars supposedly approved in that grant application. So if we were distributed the money and then it was spent out, that's one thing. And that's what happened with the remainder of the first CARES Act, was in midstream or probably close to the end of it. It was in November that the state changed their rules, and they said they gave us an avenue to just that we could get the remainder of the CARES Act money that was not spent on qualifying expenses. They gave us an avenue to get that paid out, and we went through that, and it just went right into the general fund. So, we're all trying to keep up with these, but that way, that does fall into the hands of the council completely, is what the remainder of that CARES Act money
The
from
9,000.
So that $9,000 that are about $9,000. So deposited into the general fund. So say January, we could do an additional appropriation of whatever that remainder is to give towards EMS service, right?
Oh yeah, whatever. Correct.
Yeah, I
Fancy.
mean it's in the general fund.
Yeah, you can appropriate wherever you feel necessary.
And I think that's a good use of that money to go towards EMS.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go back to my original plan. Was we did the 1687 transfer, and then I would like to see $13,313 additional appropriation, putting them at $200,000. Then January comes along, we appropriate whatever's remaining of the CARES Act money. If it's 9,000, that's great. And that'd be 209,000 out of the 216,000 they asked for. I think that's fair. And I think that's showing that we're trying to do more with less. Those are my thoughts. I would love to put that into motion. So I would make a motion that we do an additional appropriation of $13,313 with the intent of appropriating leftover CARES Act money to the EMS service at the beginning of 2021. And that's my motion.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carried, 6-0.
David,
Yes,
David, this is Erla. Something
Yes.
I'd like to see.
Yeah,
Can you hear me? I'm sorry. This
Kind
is
of.
Erla.
okay.
I
Go
would
ahead.
just like to see more in writing expenses and income for EMS.
right. Well, we're planning a meeting. I don't know if you've seen that or not with Brian Herwig, and we just haven't got it done yet, but we plan on having a meeting with, to review all that with Brian and Jim and then the council and maybe, and then like the new commissioner and the new council member coming on. So we're in the process of scheduling that meeting.
Well, I'd like it on a regular basis, not just one meeting a year.
Oh, you mean, I mean, they do have to submit like a statement of income and expenses monthly.
I've not ever seen that, I don't think.
There is.
Yeah,
there is
early, this is,
monthly-
oh,
There
go
is
ahead.
a monthly report sent. And, we develop the budget at the county request. We developed that in July, and then we presented, I think it might have been September, maybe the meeting Luke was talking about. And, things shift between July and September. I appreciate Tom's comments, and maybe 2-1. This is a county responsibility. By
Right.
state law reg, we operate it, and we operate it as best we can, and we are constantly looking at new ways to either add revenue or lower cost. To Danny's question earlier about about the service, it's pretty simple. It's revenue based on transports, and its expenses, and the expenses are labor costs. Our labor costs have gone up to hire and staff 2 great crews 24/7, 365 in a COVID year and beyond. And run volume is down. Insurance companies year over year don't increase payment much. So, what we bill this year will be pretty close to what we will bill and collect next year. So, run volumes go down, and revenues down, expenses are up. We're more than happy, as offered, come on in, look at the books. We took an effort this year related to an order from Governor Holcomb to bill runs to the scene that did not require transport. We did that for Medicaid patients, again, to try to lower the cost to the county to run your ambulance service. We billed 222 runs according to the governor's order, and we received a whole $2,128 by the regulations and the insurance rules and Medicaid. So we are working, we're trying. Again, I would also appreciate Tom's comments, and Danny, back to your point about the expenses and revenues. We do 1 run, we do 1,000,000 runs. The fixed costs are the same. And if you want 2 great crews, 24/7, 365, that cost is there. And the fact that, as Tom said, we're half to a third of the subsidies from neighboring counties. I'm sorry that those other counties have different sources of revenue, but they're funding their ambulance service. And it is what it is. And again, we'll open the books to all of you, and we'll let you take a look. We've committed to taking a harder look at what we collect from what we bill. But those are the costs of the services. And you know, what you don't pay does get borne by the hospital. And, you know, then we have to make those decisions as well. So again, I appreciate any comments or questions. I look forward to the meeting. I appreciate maybe another $9,000 in January, but it's not going to cover the cost of the service. And, you know, we'll work with you and see how we can come up to a win-win solution. That's our goal.
Thank
Hey, hey, Brian, did you receive the emails I sent you, email addresses of the council members?
Yes, I did.
I emailed you.
Yes, I did.
So that could be a starting point. You know, maybe try to schedule the meeting.
Okay. Be happy to do
All right.
that.
Thanks.
Okay, Luke, I want to make sure I got that amount right. It was 13,313.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to make sure I
And
got
then
that.
we put with the 1687 makes 15,000 and then another 9,000
Okay, I
in
just wanna
January
make
with
sure I
CARES
got
Act money,
the record. Okay, thank you.
which is going to total 7,000 less than the 216.
Okay.
Hey, Earl, in question, in answering your question, those monthly statements, you
Yes.
should be receiving those. Because I know I forwarded those, I thought, to all council members. You know, maybe you just missed it or something. Now, I even started doing like a cumulative, doing a cumulative statement with their information they sent monthly, because that way you can look at each month on the one spreadsheet. And I know I forwarded that to all council
Okay.
members, so. But
I don't remember seeing it, but I'll look back.
okay, it could have gotten lost or something.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah. Okay, I guess moving on. Our next appropriation is from the Property Reassessment Fund, Perry County Assessor, data release, $5,000. And that, is Mindy on?
Yes, I'm here. What,
Would you maybe kind of explain?
yeah, what that is when we were switching from Augmentin to Exoft, the previous, which was Thomson Reuters ProVal, they are charging us a fee to release our data so we can switch it to the new company. And I kind of called around. I called Warwick County. There's 62 counties that have switched from Thomson Reuters to Exoft, and all of them were charged a fee to switch that data.
It's probably customary.
I'm sure that in the original contract, it was somewhere in there.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's something I guess we got to do, so. Would someone like to make a motion for this?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
I'll second. I'm sorry.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, we have the inmate housing fund, Perry County Sheriff. This is hazard pay of $30,545, Social Security of $2340, retirement of $3425, and a taser maintenance contract fee of $8,640 for an inmate housing total of $44,950.
And this hazard pay is the same as what I talked about with the overtime pay. It's got to be handled the exact same way according with the CARES Act money.
Yeah, that's due to COVID, right?
Yes. Now, if you got questions about the taser contract, that's for Alan.
Right.
So what we did is we upgraded to the new tasers. The other tasers are getting outdated. You can't get parts for them anymore. So we were paying for it out of our commissary last year. Because we have had to pay so much out of our commissary, we went asked to pay that out of the inmate housing, so it wouldn't cost the county anything. But we'd like to use that to upgrade each year. It's like an $8,000 fee for the tasers.
Okay, I think I think it kind of explains that. I think Alan has explained that, what that is, the TASER contract. And like you said, it's all coming out of his inmate housing fund for a total of $44,950.
Which a big portion of that is hazard pay and which will
Yeah,
be
which will be reimbursed.
Yeah, like Pam said, it'd be reimbursed once we paid it out and showed that we paid it out.
36,000,
it'd go
yeah.
Back into there.
Of the 44,950, all be reimbursed, but the $8,640.
Correct.
Correct. Once I get all of our work done, Susan and I do, then it'll be back.
I would entertain a motion to,
Yep, I'll make a motion. We approve this transfer.
I'll second.
all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 I,
Motion carries 6-0. I think that completes our
Thank you.
appropriations.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Alan.
From,
Next, we have miscellaneous. Did anyone have anything under miscellaneous?
You need to talk about those. You have to do those Form 144s that I sent to you, council, this afternoon because of these two positions or wages being set up.
That would be on the deputies,
And the overtime, right?
okay, the sheriff and jail, and then you have the health department.
Yes.
Do I need to read all these or?
If that's up to you, because I know it just went out to you, council, because it's not on the agenda. If it got too late for me to update it that late in the game.
Okay, on deputies, we had $1,255.
that's each one.
Yes, that's each one.
Each one, yes.
And it's just a one-time pay.
And the deputy, I don't know how many, there's more than one deputy,
Yes.
420. And then jailers, 1,255. And then there's another jailer that's for 630.
Right. And that's,
David,
Yes,
I spoke to Al and he explained that to me. The difference in the pays on the deputies and the jailers are the lower amounts are for the ones that haven't been there that long.
okay.
Okay? That's why it's a
That makes sense.
difference between.
that's all the different amounts that we had to pay from what was figured up.
Right.
Okay. Do we need a motion for this or?
Yes. Yeah, because they're Form 144s.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries 6-0. And next, we have the health department. Overtime pay, health nurse, $28.40 per hour, public health initiative nurse, $25.30 per hour, and sanitarian, $22.86 per hour. That would be Sarah would be the health nurse, Tara would be the initiative nurse, and sanitarian would be Kim.
And these hours are figured because we have to take all of their salaries that they make to come up with the per hour basis when we pay overtime. And I did check with State Board of Accounts on that.
I'll make a motion to approve this
Is that a-
144.
I'll
Have a second.
Anyone?
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries 6-0. Did anyone have anything else under miscellaneous? One thing I noticed today, I was kind of shocked when I read the newspaper. And I think there's some misunderstanding on the nursing, the public health initiative nurse and the health nurse as far as their salaries.
Mhm.
And I think this goes back to like in July, when we were at our budget public hearing, it was stated at that time that their salaries were, I think it was like, well, I don't know, it's like 39,000 and
Yeah, 39
It was
and
much more.
33. Yeah.
It's much lower than what we have here. And at the time, I thought, first of all, they're paid from more than, not just from county general, they're also paid from grants. So right now, the actual health nurse salary is $52,178, and the public health clinician nurse salary is $46,529, which are both, well, it's well more than what was quoted in the papers, saying $49,000 for Spencer County, Du Bois $50,000, Gibson $48,000, and Posey $45,000. So I don't understand where these figures are coming from, and it just isn't true. I guess it's not factual.
Well, hopefully
What
they'll
everyone thinks about that.
pick up the minutes from this meeting and correct that, or at least clarify it.
I think it sheds a bad light to me on the council, which I mean, I think that health nurses do a wonderful job, and I commend them for all they do. And also, like, as far as overtime, COVID, we had paid through December 5th, $27,269 in overtime money to the health nurse and to the initial health nurse. The initial health nurse, we paid her over $21,135 in overtime pay through the CARES Act.
Yeah.
So we are compensating for the overtime, and we do appreciate it because I know they work very hard. I had COVID. Sarah checked on me numerous times. We talked numerous times, and I had probably one of the worst experiences I have ever had as far as being sick. I've never been sick hardly a day in my life. I spent 23 days in the hospital, and I'm still recuperating. So it is real, and I know there's a lot of time put in, but we are trying to compensate for the overtime.
Which, yeah, I mean, we're not trying. I mean, we are doing it.
Yeah.
Yes, and as
Not
far as
just
the
random way of doing it. Yeah.
salaries the paper quoted, I don't know where that's coming from, but it's not true. You have to take all sources of where their salary is being paid from. It's not just from county general. And I think we even stated at one time, if these grants ever went away, then county general, or we would have to try to find the money somewhere to, keep their pay comparable to these other counties or to what they're currently making,
And I think it's important to remember that the health fund is part of the levied fund. So if what we do to the general fund, it affects the health fund, affects the reassessment fund, it affects cumulative bridge. So if we increase the health fund, we have to decrease all the other. I mean, we can only increase the levy funds by a certain percentage each year, what the state tells us. So it's not like we just slash the health department and we can only do so much a year. And I think that's another part to remember, that we can only raise so much money for the health department through property taxes. So that's why it's so important that they have found these other ways to compensate them through all these grants. It's
true.
We're not cutting.
as a council,
we're doing what we can.
Yes.
David?
As a council, we encourage grants.
Well, we love
That's a
them.
big help to the county. What'd you say, Charlie?
Yeah, just remember back during the budget hearing, we had information provided to us about pay for nurses in the area. And when you add in these grants, this is very comparative to what the nurses at the hospital and that are making and at clinics.
I know it's definitely comparable to what the other county health nurses were making.
Right. And the jobs are
And that's why- and
completely different.
Right.
So,
And we are compensating for COVID overtime,
yes.
or we have.
And I had even talked to the commissioners regarding that COVID money. If the nurses at the health department needed a break, if we could hire a part-time person to fill in the hours. And they said they were going to leave it to the nurses that were there. And apparently that never went any further.
Yeah,
Okay.
Charlie, we had that conversation. They decided that it was going to be too costly to train someone. And I mean, the decision made by the health department. So, I mean, it was brought up to save overtime for them, that to get other people, hire other people. And we relied on their opinion on how they run their department, their health department, whether or not that was a cost saving feasible way of going. So, I mean, the discussion did happen, and I think that they're using the other people in the health department more now than what they were, to relieve some of that burden that's costing the extra overtime. But
Well,
and I
just wanted
agreed with you. I thought it was a good idea, Charlie, to possibly hire somebody to help because of the extra overtime. But I kind of put the ball in their court, and they felt like at that time it would cost more time to train someone in than it was going to save them. So, I mean,
well, I just wanted to make it clear that there was an offer on the table to try to give them some relief, because I know that they're overburdened with the hours that they're working.
right. Yeah. And, I agreed with that mindset also, that they needed, but, they felt like that, with all of the restrictions with the HIPAA regulations and all that it wasn't it wasn't feasible to do that. So, I mean, the offer was on the table. Yeah, you're right.
All right, thank you.
So, I mean, the real story is that the nurses are doing great work. That the story isn't that they're underpaid. The story should be all the good work that they're doing. But
that's exactly right.
I agree. That's true. They are doing tremendous amount of work and doing a great job with what they are doing. Yes. But I do see what the point is, that we got to make sure as a county that they're compensated properly because of that. And I think, hopefully that it is comparable. I didn't look at the numbers. So, I mean, I can't comment on what they're making compared to everybody else. So.
Well, the paper is just quoting what is paid out county general, and they're not quoting the grant monies that are being paid out of for their salaries. And you have to consider all sources of revenue that are going into paying for the salaries. You can just ignore the grant.
The good news is that this is being looked at and discussed, so that's
right.
Good.
Well, and David, as far as the salary ordinance, those grants weren't on there until this year.
Right.
Correct, Pam? So now it's listed in public record what they're making.
And according to state board accounts, that is the proper way. It should be listed. The grants need to be listed. I think we were probably one of the last counties to begin listing the grants, as I understand. I think most counties have already been doing that for quite some time. Anything else under miscellaneous?
No, let's go home.
I guess just one other quick thing. I guess we'll make it quick. With the paper about the story about the EMS saying that the county's cutting of the services matches the national trend. I think it's important to also remind people that we've increased our funding every year for EMS since 2016. So I'm just throwing that out there.
That is true.
Yes.
But we need to do more, which we're trying to do. But that's all I have.
Until next week.
Until next
week.
Our next meeting is scheduled for December 17th.
Yes.
At 5 o'clock. Right?
Yep, December 17th at 5 o'clock too.
Elvis is alive and well. He's right behind Pam.
Yes, he is. And he will always be behind Pam.
All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
I'll second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries 6-0.
Aye.
Have a good week.
See ya.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Teresa.
Aye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Pam. Thanks, Teresa.
You're
Uh-huh.
welcome.
Bye,
Have a good
guys.
night.
Bye.